Like you said, Jeannie, Russia and Ukraine have agreed to organize a humanitarian corridor to allow civilians to escape the city of Sumy. And we have some more details on the evacuations taking place there now. So it is expected to last until 9 p.m. local time. And I have this map here that I want to show you. And it shows you the movement of people, the route that will be taken by people. So traveling south from Sumy towards Poltava. That's 175 kilometers to the south. Other corridors, of course, could potentially open up in Kyiv, Kharkiv, Chernihiv in the north, and Mariupol. But for the moment, what we have seen are buses packed with people leaving the city of Sumy. And as you know, Jeannie, the city came under a heavy shelling overnight. A total of 21 people have been killed in airstrikes, including 2 children.
We are now 2 weeks into this conflict. What's the latest on the fighting on the ground?
Right, so it's day 13, and Russia has not been making considerable gains over the last 24 hours. The red on the map that I do want to show you, the red represents areas controlled by Russia. And as you can see on that map there, it hasn't changed a whole lot from the map that I was showing you yesterday in terms of areas controlled by Russia. And according to the Pentagon, the main advance towards Kyiv remains stalled. We had been talking about this convoy of vehicles massing north of Kyiv on the outskirts of the capital. That convoy remains stuck. The UK Ministry of Defense also declaring this morning that Russia was not making any major advances. The UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace told the British press this morning that Putin's forces were getting more desperate and they were just doubling down on the brutality against civilians as a result. So Russian attacks, bombardments have intensified over the last 24 hours, including in residential areas. So you see there on the outskirts of Kyiv, Sumy, as we mentioned, Kharkiv, and also Mykolaiv on the southern front. So in Sumy, just to give you a bit of context, the city has been partially encircled by Russian forces. And as I said, 21 people dead in Sumy at the moment. On the southern front, Mykolaiv, several fires in residential areas broke out overnight. 4 civilians were killed. Others were rescued from the rubble. And again, Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, Russian shelling as well, set almost an entire building on fire, and 4 people have been killed in Kharkiv. And just the latest, we're also hearing from the ground in terms of Russian losses. We know about the killing of a Russian general, Vitaly Gerasimov. He's the chief of staff of the 41st Army, and according to Ukrainian intelligence services, you see him there, Vitaly Gerasimov. He was killed outside of Kharkiv along with other senior officials.
Valerie, let's get back to the capital, Kyiv. Tell us a bit more about the military situation there.
Right. So I have another map that I want to show you, a close-up of Kyiv. And what you see essentially, it's Russian forces progressively encircling the capital. And so you see 4 major towns surrounding Kyiv on the outskirts of Kyiv. So Bucha, Vorzel, and Ostomel and Irpin as well, less than 30 kilometers outside of the capital. And so Russian forces are concentrated in the eastern, northwestern, and western outskirts of Kyiv. So those areas that I mentioned just now, and potentially for an assault on the capital in the next 2 to 4 days, that according to some military sources that we're following. And what you also see, again, those 3 cities, Ostomel, Bucha, and Irpin, those are disputed cities. That means there's fighting, there's shelling going on, and that explains why we have seen thousands of people trying to flee Irpin. We also know there have been reports of the mayor of Ostomel, so one of those cities there. He was killed while he was distributing aid to people in Ostomel. And again, Russian forces, what we know, they're bringing supplies towards this area and reinforcements. They're also conducting air and missile attacks to weaken defenses, Ukrainian defenses on the ground, and potentially preparing for that assault, as I mentioned, in the next 2 to 4 days.
Now, there's also been talk of a potential assault on the southern city of Odessa. What more do we know about that?
Right. So let's zero in on the south now, the southern front. So the assault on the coastal city of Mykolaiv continues. It's a city of 500,000 people. And what we know is that Russian troops appear to be feeling their way around Mykolaiv. So you see the red arrows there. The red represented forces, areas controlled by Russia. And so it seems that they could potentially want to go around Mykolaiv, feeling their way around the city, possibly trying to find a route across the Bug River. So that's the river you see there. It is just a few kilometers away from the Black Sea. And the objective of all this would be to bypass Mykolaiv and resume their advance towards Odessa that you see there. Odessa being a strategic point, a strategic city for Russia, being one of the largest ports in Ukraine, connecting the country to the rest of the world. So we know that Mykolaiv, the city you see there, came under heavy shelling this past Monday and into the night as well. A thick cloud of smoke was seen rising over the city. Russians have been firing missiles, including in residential areas. And if they successfully bypass Mykolaiv, that means they could head towards Odessa.
Valerie, thanks so much for that update. Valerie Dekimpe there giving us the very latest on the situation in Ukraine. Thank you.